Well, it is time to take our peanuts from our 2022 peanut harvest from this state, which is the raw state, to an edible state. So we're going to go through how we're going to do that. Well, step one in this process for us is to sort the peanuts that we have. So we're going to go through and pick out, I don't even know how many, we're just going to see, but we're going to pick out some that we're going to save for basically replanting next year. And as you can see, like this one right here looks like a decent sized one. I mean, you don't know until you open it, and you're not going to open it right now if it's going to be for seed, but we're looking for ones, or our characteristic is looking for ones that either have 2 or 3 nuts in them and are relatively good size and relatively good shape, because they're more likely than some of the more shriveled ones to produce a good seed peanut.
And these ones, they are going to be just used to soak and roast, because these ones, they fell off, so they're not as good as they could have been. So Mom, how do we open these?
Well, at this point, we don't, Alex, because we're going to soak them with their shells on.
Oh, so we don't open them yet?
Not yet.
We just put them in the bin?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, we're on our last little chunk here to do. We've got a decent sized bowl ready for ones that are keeping for seed. And we've got almost our bowl full of ones for roasting. But I'm pleased that we've gotten so many seed keepers. Well, we've sorted it into the 3 categories. We have the ones that didn't stay on the vine originally to dry. So these ones, what I'm thinking is we're going to shell all those ones, but I'll talk about that in a moment. Here we have our bowl of keepers for seed to plant next year. As you can see, that's a lot more than we planted this year. So we'll have to see how that goes. And then the remainder is in this bucket. Now, first thing we really have to do with all of these is wash them, because we haven't even done that yet. A lot did come off while we were messing around with sorting them, but there is still quite a bit of dirt on those. So that's the first step. We're new to peanuts and processing these and storing them and so on. Now, we want to roast them. And of course, we did what everybody does. Google, YouTube, all those sorts of things to find out just how to do this. And to be honest, there was so many different ways and so many different methods or recipes or ratios. So basically, we're going to try 2 methods that sort of appealed to us. One was soaking the peanuts in a brine first and then roasting them, a salt brine. And the other one is shelling the peanuts, roasting them, and then sprinkling them with salt. I'm not sure which I like better. I do believe that the ones we take out of the shell will have a better salt taste, which I like for roasting, but we're not really sure. And we're not exactly sure how much salt to use, and so on and so forth. So we're going to take you along for this ride as we kind of figure out which one of these methods we like better. So as the water is boiling for our brine mixture, and we're starting to shell the nuts, I wanted to talk a little bit about the salting, or ratio of water to salt. That's something that we found very mixed reviews on. Basically, we're looking at maybe 2 liters of peanuts that we want to brine for roasting. And I figure we probably need, I don't know, I did, what did I do? I did 4 liters just to be on the safe side. But when I looked it up online, there was very mixed things about how much salt you needed for 4 liters of water. Some said 1/4 cup, others said a whole cup. I think it just really depends on how salty you like your peanuts. Now, I want them to have the salt flavor. So I'm kind of thinking we're going to test the waters with middle ground and go for 1/2 cup of salt in our brine solution. So that's what we're going to use. I've got 4 liters just about to boil. We're going to dissolve our salt into that, and then the boiling water is going to get poured over top of our washed peanuts so that we can let that soak overnight. You're going to want to put some sort of weight, like a plate or something like that, on top of those nuts to keep them under the water. But that's where we're at right now, and that's probably where we're going to leave you until tomorrow morning when we take them out of the solution. One thing I will say, I'm impressed with actually how well it's going removing them from the shells, because I have a feeling this is the way I'm going to like it.
Well, as you can see, overnight we got a lot of snow, and I guess snow doesn't directly correspond to peanuts, but the nice thing about peanuts is you don't have to do the full processing at the time of harvest. So they're a little forgiving that way, which is nice because you can postpone the processing into an edible product until later. And I think, even though we started this process yesterday, today's going to be a good day to keep going with it.
All right, we are the next morning. These have kind of soaked overnight in the brine solution, so we've had at least, probably actually close to 13 hours. And we're now going to dehydrate these. Now I'm lucky I have a dehydrate button on my oven. So we've got these up on a cookie cooler sheet on top of a cookie sheet. And we're going to put these in and hopefully we'll be able to roast them for tonight.
Well, we've been outside all morning kind of working on normal chores and snow removal. But we are back in the house. And I was going to show you sort of what we've got up to so far because we are pretty much to the step of actually roasting some peanuts. Well, there is our bowl of shelled peanuts. So you can see we've put the shells off to the side. And to be honest, I'm pretty happy with that. That's a lot of shelled peanuts. So we're going to get these ones onto this tray and hopefully it will all fit because ideally you do want them kind of single peanut only. You don't want to have a big layer of these on here when you're roasting them. And here are the remainder of the peanuts. So as you can see, we've had these in the oven, and we've actually been using the oven sort of to dehydrate them a bit because after soaking them, well, basically we soaked them for a little longer than I guess we were anticipating or necessarily needed to. They were pretty wet, and so we've put them back in here to dehydrate them a bit, and they are basically ready to come out. So we're going to get them out and onto a tray. And then we're going to roast both the shelled and the unshelled together and sort of see what the difference is.
A general consensus that we've found in our research on how to roast our peanuts is they need to be dry. So even though you soak them in the salt brine solution, they need to then be dried after. Now we chose to use the dehydrating in our oven because my oven has a handy dandy dehydrate button. We actually ended up having to up the temperature to 150 in the dehydrate to actually get them to dry. But you could use a dehydrator. You could just put them on a table with a fan blowing on them, just it can take probably up to 2 or 3 days. We use the dehydrate because it kind of sped things along a little bit, but you use whatever works for you. But I think it seems to be important that they're dry. Now, I don't have anything to compare that to, but maybe next year we'll try a wet and a dry roast and see what happens. Well, we have all our peanuts ready to go into the oven. The oven is just coming to temperature. We need to roast these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So interestingly enough, they both roast at the same temperature, but the ones in the shells are 25 minutes, where the ones out of the shells are 15 to 20 minutes. You want to stir those ones that are out of the shells a couple times throughout because you're looking for those skins to really kind of fall off. That's sort of the indication that they are done.
Or be loose.
Or be loose, yeah. And from what I understand, you don't want to overcook them because they continue to cook once you pull them out. So this is going to be interesting for us, and I'm very curious to do a taste test. We are choosing with the ones that are out of the shells to actually salt them after they've roasted. There was very mixed opinions on that. Some people did it before, some after. We're going to choose to do it after because I think there's going to be enough oils created by the peanuts that the salt will stick to them quite nicely.
So let's get these in the oven. As we are waiting for the peanuts to cook and eating some tomato soup, some yellow tomato soup, definitely noticing they're smelling pretty good. And I just made the comment, I think we're going to like growing peanuts in the future. All right, well, it is time to take out the shelled peanuts. And it certainly looks like the skins are starting to dry a bit and flake off. So because they do continue to cook, we're going to leave them like this for a bit.
They smell delicious.
We did go the extra 5 minutes and think it was worth it. So we will wait for the others to be done, wait for everything to cool,
salt them.
And yeah, we'll salt them and then we'll do the taste test.
Now we're going to salt these so that that salt will kind of cling to some of the oils in these. I'm not sure, we had a discussion, I'm not sure that they're done enough because these skins aren't actually coming off very easily, but we're going to roll with it. All right, so we've got these guys out now. They're still, as Chris said, snap, crackle, and popping. So we got to let them cool off before we could try these, I think. We've got a little bit of time needed, but I'm hoping they're going to be quite well done. We ended up doing them for 35 minutes for the ones in the shells, and the ones that we'd taken out of the shells ended up with 25 minutes. We actually did the full 20, and then we went an extra 5, mostly because the skins weren't actually coming off very well on their own, so we thought maybe another 5 minutes. Now, hopefully we haven't overcooked them. We will find out when we taste test, because the skins still didn't come off, even with the extra 5, but we're stopping there.
Okay, they've cooled down, as you can see. So, taste test 1, the shelled peanut. Pretty good. Tastes like a peanut.
Go figure.
So next is getting one of these in the shell peanuts. Open and sort of see what we're dealing with here. The shell a little easier. It's gone quite a brown color.
Oh, we overcooked them?
No, they are definitely saltier. The in the shell is definitely saltier. So now I will let you try and see what you think.
So now it's my turn. Now I was the one that suggested doing some of these ones without the shells on them, because I thought that was going to be the better way, but they taste like the kind I put on my ice cream though. And now I'm trying one of the ones from in the shell. Oh gosh, yeah, they're way better. Oh. Wow.
I think the general consensus here is the shelled ones are probably best for cooking, Stephanie said, on ice cream, that sort of thing. And they're quite good. But for us, from a snack perspective, in the shell, way better, hands down. So basically in the future, I have a feeling we'll still end up doing both methods. But if you grow peanuts in the future, give either method a try.